On another note, I was helping out a customer earlier this afternoon, one of the universities here in the country, to add VNC into the boot image so they can do remote management. And I figured I could talk a little bit about that because I made some interesting discoveries, I thought, in the newer versions of UltraVNC. First of all, just finding the downloads, that's an art on itself. But if you click around through the website a couple of times, you'll find it. So I figured we could start there. So ultravnc.com, I can't even type it. This one here. If you go to the downloads link here, that's the one I just added up here. You will have to scroll down. I was like, where are the downloads? Because I start to go through these different links and check the GitHub and whatnot. Like, no, that there are no releases there. But sure enough, when you scroll down, you will find the latest binaries here. And if you scroll down a little bit, there are two files I recommend getting. One is the MSI, so you can deploy the viewer through either Intune or Config Manager, whatever you like to deploy MSIs with. And then I recommend snatching the zip, because that has the file that you add to your boot image. So, long story short, you download the zip file, and out of that zip file, let's see here, I put it somewhere here. You borrow this file here, and you copy it to an empty folder. So imagine, for example, that this folder happened to be empty. I have it running, so I need to close it. So this is an empty folder, we can agree. So in the early versions of VNC, when you launch the utility, it always saved an init file in this location. So I was a bit surprised when it didn't. So I started it up. I set the password I wanted to have. And I clicked OK, and I expected an init file to be created. But it doesn't. Even if I check the log file, it says that an init file was created. So if I open this one again, I go to the log, you can see that created config file. There is no config file. By default, it creates it in the registry instead. So to trick it into not run it in, store it in the registry, you need to create an init file yourself. So you create an init file, ultra, see if I can spell correctly, vnc.ini. You make an admin section, and you say use registry equals 0, and you save it. So now you open the tool again, type in the password, and when you open the init file now, you can see it added a lot of stuff to it, including the password here. It's hashed. I promise you this was not the password I typed in, but it's a pretty basic DES encryption, but it's not easily converted into a password field. And we only use it during the WinP phase here for this example. Of course, you can use it later in Windows also. VNC supports that. But then the only thing that you need to do is basically fire up a virtual machine for testing. I'm going to borrow this one here, a clean snapshot. I'm going to connect it to one of my other networks here. We're going to New York today. So those two files you can just add to your boot image. or you can have a script that just downloads them from a web server or do a net use to a file share and downloads them to the device. But they are so small, so I don't really see the harm of having them in the boot image. So at this point, if I open up a command prompt and just connect to that server where I stored my stuff, see it all around this machine, and the user account, super secret. You need to have two backslashes in front of the server name. All right, F drive. This would be my temp folder here. Those were the files. So if I create something on my X drive, UltraVNC, and copy those files over to that folder, this would be the equivalent of having them added to my boot image here. And the only thing you need to do is actually launch that thing. And it will be running in the background. You don't see it popping up or anything. So if I know the IP address of this machine here, it's 10.107, I can try to connect to it from the viewer here, except it's going to fail. Why is it going to fail? It's not going to work. I won't be able to even ping that machine. Why is that? Because with P, you have a firewall on by default. So you need to disable that firewall. And that is done through a command called wp-util, disable firewall. Now I should be able to ping that device. And now I should be able to connect to that device. If I open it again, type in the password, and now I am connected to that device. Remote access. Brilliant. If you want to do this a bit more fancy, you can have a PowerShell script that launches VNC early, report the IP address and, for example, the computer name up to a web service or dashboard or file share even, create a shortcut so that techs in your company can easily know which machines that are being deployed and, remote into them. But I thought it was a quick little intro to some of the gotchas I stumbled across in the new versions of UltraVNC and how to mitigate that. So, yeah.